All right. Good evening. I'm Zen Master Sebastian Rizzon, founder of the Zen Art Center and the Mind Light Way School of Zen. I'm glad you're all here tonight. As you know, we do these Dharma Talks. Good evening. Sound's working. As you know, we do these Dharma Talks on the third Thursday of every month and guided meditations on the first Thursday of every month from 7 to 8 p.m. You can also find these streamed live or anytime after on the Zen Art Center YouTube channel. What is Zen? Zen is sometimes described as a contemplative practice, but I'm not sure I completely agree with that assessment. I guess it depends on what you mean by contemplation. What do you think of when you hear the word contemplation? What are you doing when you contemplate something? It seems to mean different things to different people. The word contemplation is often used to mean intellectual consideration or rational thinking about something. It can also mean a state of observation or reflection. In a religious sense, it's often used to mean reaching a state of mystical awareness of God's being. Or in a broader sense, when a person seeks to pass beyond mental images and concepts to direct experience of the divine. If you consider contemplation to mean all of these things, then I guess you can consider Zen a contemplative practice, because Zen essentially means passing beyond all mental images and concepts to a direct experience of what is. Often in the old Zen records, they call experience as it is Thusness or Suchness. Zen masters use koans and teaching to point the students directly to experience as it is. In Zen, koans are questions, stories, or statements used as skillful means to prompt you into deep contemplation, to a point where all thoughts are exhausted and thinking completely stops, to bring you to pure experience as it is. For tonight's meditation, I'm going to give you a few koans to consider. Over the course of the meditation, I'll be giving you a series of questions and statements to contemplate. The idea is to contemplate these until all of your thoughts are exhausted and your thinking completely stops. But first, let's start by preparing ourselves for meditation. You can sit with your legs crossed. Try to keep your neck and back straight. You're going to have your hands, right hand, left hand, touching thumbs, centered in your lap. For most of these meditations, our eyes will be closed, but your eyes should be at a 45-degree angle towards the floor, even though your eyes are closed. If you get uncomfortable in any of these positions, feel free to stand up or stretch out or adjust the position to suit your needs. If you're sitting in a chair, you can sit with your feet flat on the floor. Just try to keep your neck and back straight and don't slouch in your seat. Now let's move on to a breathing technique that can help prepare our body for meditation. Start by breathing a little bit slower and a little bit deeper than you usually do. Bring your attention to the center of your chest as you breathe. Visualize your heart in the center of your chest as you breathe. As you listen to my voice, I want you to keep slowing down your breath and breathing a little bit deeper. Feel your breath coming in through your nose and mouth collecting all of the energy from your brain and moving it from your head into your heart. Imagine now that you're breathing with your heart. The purpose of this practice is to try to align our mind, heart, and body. You can also place your hand on your heart and close your eyes if you'd like. Keep breathing slow, deep, and steady. This is a technique you can use to relax or reset yourself whenever you feel like you need to switch gears from different activities you're doing throughout the day. And if you practice this technique, you can learn to reset your mental state and emotions in any moment by reminding yourself to take some slow and deep breaths. Now let's just practice this together for a few minutes and continue taking slow and deep breaths. For tonight's meditation, I'll be guiding you through a series of koans to meditate on. Treat the koans as a mantra. A mantra is the focal point of meditation, usually a word or a phrase that's repeated silently within your mind. The word mantra literally translates to mean a tool to liberate your mind. We'll be using these koans to help us free our mind from the usual stream of thoughts and perceptions and feelings that consume it. As I present you with questions, don't fixate on finding an intellectual answer or a narrative that you've learned or even descriptive words. Just contemplate the underlying meaning of the question and the experience it's pointing you to. Keep your mind still by focusing on the koan. If a thought occurs, just let it go and return to the koan. Hold the question in your mind until it burns away all of your thoughts and liberates your mind from all of the conditions that keep it constrained. Allow your mind to become completely free from thought, to gain direct access to what is present in your experience. Now, I ask that you close your eyes and keep your breath slow and steady. Take a few minutes to meditate on each of these koans. Here's the first koan. What is the world made of as you experience it right now? Before you think, without any conceptual distinctions or descriptions, before any notions of what it is, before your senses tell you what it seems to be. Where is your experience happening? Is there anything outside of it? Where is the line between the world and your experience of the world? Can you find the line? Your awareness is filled with sights, sounds, scents, and sensations. If all of them vanished, along with your thoughts and memories, what remains? Notice thoughts, sensations, emotions, objects, all appearing in awareness. But what about awareness itself? Where does it begin or end? Is awareness ever separate from what it knows? Notice that all of these boundaries between self and world, mind and experience, subject and object, only appear as thoughts. Are these divisions real? When the thought of these separations fades, what remains? Now, let all questions fall away. Abide in the stillness of the mind. As sounds, thoughts, or sensations return, don't cling or reject. Let everything appear and disappear in its own rhythm. Notice that awareness never changes. The stillness and movement together are one, inseparable from awareness. When there's no more seeking and nothing to seek, what remains? Before I continue the talk, take a moment to contemplate your experience and where you are right now. You can open your eyes. So where are you right now? Everything we just did, this talk, the meditation, the koans, even the silences between the words, are merely forms of upāya, or skillful means. In the Buddhist tradition, upāya is the ability to meet people exactly where they are, using whatever means are available to help them see through illusion. It's the art of teaching what cannot be taught. Finding the right thing to say, the right gesture, imagery, or question that opens the doorway into direct experience. The Buddha said that all Dharma teachings are like upāya, like a raft built to cross a river. Once you've crossed, you no longer need the raft. The raft isn't the destination, it's a useful way of reaching it. The Buddha once compared his teachings to medicine prescribed for an illness. Once you're cured, the medicine should no longer be clung to. That's what koans are. That's what meditation is. That's what all the teachings are. They don't give you enlightenment. They show you the limits of knowledge and practice, pointing you beyond to your own insight. Huineng, the sixth patriarch of Zen, explicitly framed his own teaching style as upāya in the Platform Sutra. He said, the Dharma is of one kind, but people's understandings differ. Therefore, I use words to guide them according to their capacities. He also said, when I speak of awakened mind and direct knowing, I use expedient means, or upāya. They're not two, but spoken of separately for the sake of those not awakened. These teachings point to something very simple here. What matters isn't what is said in the teachings or the particulars of your practice. What matters is seeing through the teachings to the direct insights that they're revealing through practice. My explanations and Dharma teachings and methods come from my own insight, but they can't give direct insight to you. You must experience it. I spent 16 years living with my teacher, listening to his teachings, and practicing sitting and moving meditation. Sitting meditation is what we practice today, and moving meditation is equally important. It means treating everything you do as a meditation by fully engaging with whatever you're doing and completely giving it your full attention without letting your mind wander. My main form of moving meditation practice has been martial arts, but it really could be anything you do. From an artistic practice, to going for a walk, or to giving your full attention to washing your dishes, or having a conversation. Over time, the practices of sitting and moving meditation allowed me to deepen my own engagement with my experiences in every moment as they are, in a way that penetrates through the delusion of thought. I still have thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but I don't suffer from their delusive nature. After years of practicing sitting and moving meditation, I've also been able to express my own insight through my own forms of skillful means. Even though my own insight is always present in every moment, I still find sitting and moving meditation useful as a means to translate my insight into relatable teaching. The treatise of 2 entrances and 4 practices is one of the earliest records attributed to Bodhidharma, who's the person who brought Zen from India to China. I recently researched it and wrote about it for my Zen history blog. In it, Bodhidharma spoke of 4 practices which are mutually reinforcing and ever-present facets of realization. They are accepting suffering, being in accord with conditions, non-seeking, and practicing in accord with the Dharma. And Dharma is the truth inherent in nature. In my own life, this means accepting the conditions as they are without craving, seeking, or resentment. This allows me to maintain equanimity amidst life's fluctuations by remaining fully engaged with whatever I'm experiencing, whether it's good or bad. Living like this opens the gate for the wholeness of experience, as it is. The insight I've gleaned from this way of life is a deep experiential understanding that there's no boundary between subject and object. The distinctions between this and that are only imaginary lines. In all situations, the giver, receiver, and gift are not separate. In my experience, I feel the unifying force of love in my heart and recognize it as what holds everything together. When you engage with this level of awareness in every moment, compassion naturally flows. It's no longer something you do, it's what you are. This feeling compels me to use my life to help others attain this insight, without clinging to any goals or purposes, and without any regret. This wisdom enables me to live my life in harmony with whatever happens. And it uncovers a subtle underlying joy and peace regardless of what happens. When compassion simply flows through you, it's the embodiment of the vow of the Bodhisattva, which is to awaken oneself for the benefit of all beings. Zen is a living practice that's ultimately inseparable from this insight and wisdom. The path begins with contemplation that eventually reaches beyond thought, moving you past the divisions between subject, object, self, and experience. By seeing things the way they are without seeking or resentment, you can engage seamlessly with whatever conditions arise. This leads you to direct insight, experiential wisdom, and equanimity. This results in the liberation from suffering and the joy and peace that accompany it. Ultimately, this path blossoms into the wholeness of oneself, living compassionately to help all beings alleviate their suffering. However, this talk is just upāya. It won't get you anywhere unless you take it upon yourself to fully engage with what's present in every moment. I wish you 10,000 ways of good luck on this journey. And I'll take questions if anyone has them. But before we do that, let's just take one more moment of silence and a few slow and deep breaths to reflect. All right, I'll take any questions if anyone has any. It could be related to this talk or about anything else in life, about Zen, about meditation, about the mind. This is my favorite part of class. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Let me see if there's anybody in the chat. Any questions? Yes?
About skillful means, how do you know what to do at the right time? Or what to say? Or what's most effective?
Okay, the question is, with skillful means, how do you know what to do at any given time? And whether it's effective? Was that the question? Well, I think the most important thing is being fully engaged with what is happening. Whether it's effective, I think it's, that all effectiveness exists on a spectrum. So it may be, there's all different elements. There's what you say, how it's heard, the timing of when it's said. Obviously, I've never, it's very rare, that you can say something that is going to give a person direct insight. But it's a process of guiding. And I think, like I said, the most important thing is having a clear mind, but also it should be compassionate in nature. in trying to guide them in the right direction, meaning towards their own direct insight. But it's something's effectiveness. How do you know what how can you ever know what someone else is experiencing? You can only have your experience of their experience.
I have another question.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone has it. How do you define intuition?
How do I define intuition? Intuition is, I call it the voice of your heart, and I use the word heart and mind somewhat interchangeably. I think in Western terms, though, a lot of times people think mind and brain. But I think mind is more associated with the Western concept of heart, meaning like that feeling in your chest more than something you've intellectually figured out. So it's the pull of your heart, and it can only be directly experienced. And there's all, if you have too much thinking, it will by nature block out that voice or mask that voice or filter that voice, or so that it becomes its own form of delusion. So the most important thing to connecting with your own intuition is clearing your mind, is putting down your thoughts, trying to engage fully with what's happening. And then that voice becomes the only thing that you hear or feel or experience. And it's what guides your actions. It's the source of Upāya. Any more? More questions? Keep going.
Questions. So where is intuition coming from? And how do you know whether it is intuition, the voice of your heart, or thoughts?
Where does intuition come from, and how do you know if it's your intuition or thoughts? It comes from the heart, it comes from the mind.
Can I suggest?
Let me finish with her question, and then I definitely will. And you know it because you only know because you don't question it.
What if you what if you have really good intuition but you don't trust it?
Then you're
You've been
thinking.
fooled before.
If you have really good intuition and you don't trust it, it
Or
means.
just over, like, I thought I did, but over the last couple of years, I feel like I don't trust myself anymore.
So those, if you don't trust it, that's thinking. So whatever you're listening to that you don't trust not trusting is a form of questioning. So when it's your intuition, you just know. And sometimes things don't work out like always like, oh, I think this and I think I want this and this is my goal and then I'm going to do these things, and expect certain results. Intuition is beyond your thinking. It guides you beyond your thinking on a lower, deeper level than thinking.
Maybe my intuition was spot on.
So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's like things happen, they're not the way you thought they should end up. You thought you were doing the right thing. This is all thinking, and they don't work out the way you thought they should, given what your heart was, what you felt. But then quite often what you find is what you thought was a mistake ends up being something that you needed, that prepared you for the next thing that's coming. So it doesn't work in like logical, rational ways. It's hard to explain. But yeah, too much thinking, and it's very tricky because you're always thinking. So how do you get your intuition when thoughts are always arising, feelings are always arising, sensations are always arising? You have to have a way of always quieting those down instantly. Then so as they come, they can't stick. Everybody gets them. Everybody gets thoughts, feelings, and emotions. But how quickly do you let them go and not cling to them? When you take all of those away, that's all that's left that guides you. When someone asks you a yes or no question, you know what to answer, yes or no. And maybe they say you're wrong, and maybe in some terms, by someone else's definition, you are wrong, but for some reason you needed to give the wrong answer in that situation. So much of what we think is dictated by other people's expectations, society, culture, all of these things. Those things are not your intuition. They are, I believe most of them are well-intentioned, but they don't necessarily apply to every single person in every single moment. And that's where your intuition comes in. So, for instance, I'll just give an example with rules. In Buddhism and in Zen, you have precepts. You say, I won't kill, I won't lie, things like that. There's koans that kind of deal with this. Like, if you're walking through a forest and a deer runs by you, a startled deer, and then a minute later a hunter comes and says, which way did the deer go? Do you lie? Do you tell the truth, in which case he goes and kills the deer? How do you know what to do in that situation? You could be quiet and not say anything, but that doesn't free you. I mean, maybe if you don't say anything, he doesn't find the deer, and maybe his family starves. The point is, it's not clear cut. What's the right answer? In that moment, you have to do something or do nothing. This is just a facetious example, but those kind of situations come up all the time in life. Maybe not on those extremes, but I'm giving a kind of an extreme example that it's not always clear cut. Even if you're trying to do exactly what everybody else says is correct, what you think is ethically correct, what you think is morally correct, sometimes those things come into conflict. And then how do you judge? Something inside you has to make a decision with all of these ambiguous conditions. So I never got to, did you want to add something to what I was saying?
Not at the moment.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to finish my answer. And more questions? Okay.
I don't want to hold up anyone, but how much agency do we have agency? And if we do in life, how much agency we really do have in life?
So, how much agency do you have?
We have agency.
Do you have agency? You do have agency. Do you have complete agency? No, your body is subject to conditions. You have to accept the conditions. In those conditions, you have agency.
But beyond the condition of your body, like karma, needs to be resolved through you. How much agency is there? Aren't we just the play of circumstances and phenomena from the beginning of time till now, and we continue to be the play of all of these circumstances? So what do we have a say in the story that unfolds?
Yes, because all things come together in one moment, and they emerge from one moment. So in that moment, in the constraints of the conditions, you have agency. What can affect your decision right now? What conditions can affect whatever your decision is? You know, whether to stand up or sit down.
A lot of things can affect this decision.
No, right now.
Right now, my upbringing, or how I'm conditioned.
Well, yeah, if you let those things, you can allow yourself to get washed down a river, or you can swim, or you can just go along for the ride. But in that stream, you have a certain amount of agency. That's essentially what the universe is always. It's just a stream that's going, and in that stream, what can you do?
Aren't your options, your thinking of what can you do, also the flow of the universe?
Are they like?
When you think, okay, what options do I have? That's also part of the flow of the universe. That's also conditions. You're thinking are also conditions. I'm trying to think to link it to an intuition that's transcends.
Yeah, are you suggesting things are determined? Because the conditions are determined, but when someone hands you a menu at lunch, how do you decide what to choose?
There's an argument to be made that it's also determined based on all the past behavior and the palate and the culture and what you heard, what you saw on the radio, on TV, or.
Yeah, those are conditions, but you still decide what to choose.
But is this really a decision, or is it just a combination of conditions that give rise to the next one?
You're influenced by.
Or
It's both.
Everything is influenced, yeah.
It's both, but there's also agency. Things are determined, but also there's freedom in the space between the determined aspects. Is it absolute freedom? No. Is it absolute determined? No. I mean, what do you feel? Do you think it's all determined?
It's something nothing is done, you're subject to the conditions and all of these things. If nothing is done, if you bring awareness to the moment, to this moment, and you're completely fully engaged in this moment, and you stop the thinking, then in that awareness, I think true agency can only be from that place. Because otherwise, if you're not fully aware, then you have all of your trauma, narratives, stories, everything comes into play in that decision of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you can be you can be you can become trapped by the conditions of the momentum of the conditions, for sure, if you're not aware of the conditions, recognizing the conditions, adapting to the conditions, and finding harmony within the conditions. But I think there is an active element to that. And even the choice to be passive and to go along is its own form of agency.
I feel like you have to have the will to change your conditions.
Well, I'll say it this way: that all of the things that led up to this moment get you to where you are. All of the steps you've taken lead to where you are. No amount of will or anything is going to change these things. Going forward, you can choose a direction and a step, and that's about as much agency as you have in a vessel of a body. And that's a bit of a metaphor, but it's not, whether it's you're sitting and you're thinking, you're in this position, and then you can choose this direction. Say, like, these are the realm of, like, looking out in the world. You can take these kind of, from here, you can kind of choose this direction and move. And from each place, but the angle that you move at makes a huge difference on where you end up, the way you're pointing yourself. And when you move in this direction, step by step by step, then over here you have a whole different perspective, even though, like, if you initially just were pointed kind of two opposite directions and took a step, from that point everything looks pretty much the same. But over time, as you go out, then you end up in totally different places with totally different realms of possibility. So, like, that direction you're choosing and the continuation of progress in those directions.
Can I suggest that there is one of the feelings one of the thoughts that I'm getting is that the idea of not using a forceful willpower or not making an active step feels like non-agency in this discussion. But the agency to not make a step is still something. The agency to, like, be stuck in your ways and be feeling and stuck in your thoughts and in the swirl of a stream, even if it feels like it's floating and you're going with the stream, is a agency. That's a non-step you're taking. Like, the idea of floating or the idea of taking a moment to breathe is an action. So, like, what feels like maybe not having the agency to step out or breathe or, like, recenter yourself and get out of your thoughts is in fact still, it feels like an entrapment in the space you're still in where everything's predetermined. But you're sort of, the the idea is like you're sort of looping back to where you are sitting. You're making that agency to remain and not take a step. Does that make sense? So the step is the not taking.
Like you're still making a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still, in either way, you're asserting some sort of agency, since that's the word we're saying, over the situation. But, like certain things, do you have agency over how you feel about things? Do you have agency about what your preferences are?
I don't think so.
So I think so. I think it's a lot more complicated, and I think that's a good question maybe to contemplate. Is where do those things come from that we feel like we have no control over or just are part of us? I would caution you about thinking it's something physical.
What do you mean?
Well, like that atoms and molecules cause certain things, behavior, like those kind of things. Like or if you do feel that way, how do you explain it? Because I think that's very difficult to explain. Or even if it's just a chain reaction. Like, if you think it's just a chain reaction that acted, evolution that led to this moment, to you feeling a certain way or whatever, like how do you explain that evolution? How do you trace that all the way back? It's not something science is going to tell you. But I think you do have the capability within yourself to understand the answer to that. So I could sit here and try and give you my explanation, but I think a better form of skillful means is to ask you the question. Any more questions? Those are great questions. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm just going to make some closing announcements and we can get out of here. We're in the middle of our year-end fundraising drive, and it's very important to our organization because it helps us cover our operating expenses, and so we can keep providing free Dharma talks, workshops, meditation groups, and creative groups. So the Mind Light Way School is Mind Light Way School of Zen is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and there's information on how to make a donation in the description in the video, as well as by the door if you're here in person, and your generosity in supporting the programs is greatly appreciated. Just a reminder, these are on the third Thursday of every month from 7 to 8. First Thursday of every month, we have the guided meditations. I also host Zen art and writing groups where we practice moving meditation through our art and our writing projects. The writing group's on the second and fourth Sunday from 3:30 to 5. The art group is on the third Sunday of every month from 3:30 to 5. And you can bring any type of art project you want, any type of writing project you want. And if you're interested in learning a new art form and form of moving meditation, we also offer private martial arts classes to our members. You can find our schedule on how to contact us and schedule and information on how to contact us on mindlightway.org and on the Zen Art Center meetup pages. You don't need any prior experience to participate in any of these classes, and if you have any interest or have any questions, let me know, or contact us via our website. And if you're here in person, I invite you to hang out and chat and strike up a conversation. Thanks for coming out tonight, and we appreciate you being part of our community and supporting the school in this way. Thank you.